Pidgeot Control is a deck that aims to essentially counter every deck it possibly can in the format, and it gets to do this because Quick Search lets it play an irresponsible amount of one-of cards that it can use and abuse in all the right moments. But this meta has been very wide, so it feels quite difficult to cover every single base. So I have felt quite uncertain which direction I want to take the deck. I've been playing a lot of different versions on the channel lately, and really not found one that just clicks and feels amazing. So I was naturally very excited when I saw the build that got top 8 in the Toronto Regional Championships, and it was very different than most other takes out there with some unconventional counts. So I reached out to Liam Halliburton, the creator of this list, to get some answers on how the 60 ended up looking this way, why certain cards are in the deck, why certain cards are not in the deck. And I recorded that call with him, so here it is. I just want to share it with you guys to help, just be able to build Pidgeot Control better in the Searching Sparks format. Stay tuned to the very end of the conversation because there's a pretty cool announcement that you might be interested in. So yeah, if you've been watching the channel for a while, I've been playing a bunch of different builds of Pidge Control because I don't really know what the heck I'm doing. I just play a bunch of different random stuff, so figured it'd be kind of cool to actually get someone on the channel who somewhat knows what he's talking about. So I'm joined by the one and only Liam Halliburton to discuss everything about the Pidgeot Control list right now. So yeah, what's up, Liam? How's it going?
What's up? I also do play a lot. I think that's one of the best parts of Pidgeot, right? Is the flexibility. You get to play a lot of different cards and then have 100% access to them, right? Usually most decks have to make a consistency trade-off, but for Pidgeot you don't. So yeah, it's pretty natural to play a lot of different weird stuff in Pidgeot decks.
In case the audience doesn't know, Liam was the mastermind behind the top 8 list from the recent Toronto Regionals. So gonna go over that today and ask him a bunch of questions on why he's playing all these random one of cards. So yeah, I'm just gonna get straight into it here. I mean, a lot of the stuff is like the normal Pidgeot Control, like Luxray, Ursaluna, Double Rotom.
Yeah.
But really, like, there are a couple things that do seem a little out of place. I think the thing that mainly jumps off the page is Toedscruel. Like, no one had really ever gone very deep into a tournament with that in Pidgeot Control. So can you tell me why Toedscruel? What is that for? What is its
I mean,
trying to use it in?
It's most clearly for the Drago matchup, right?
Mm-hmm.
It blocks the V-Star, and that's you cut their switch access in half. Like, and that's pretty much any Drago matchup, right? Like, they kind of just like hold the V-Star over your head the entire game, and then like if they ever get to 2 prizes and you don't win the next turn, you lose. And Pidgeot obviously it doesn't have like a real win condition, or it's not making an aggressive threat on win conditions. So if they ever get to 2 prizes and they have V-Star up, it's basically a guaranteed loss. Like, there's a few combinations where like if you have like Pidgeot Defiance Vest and then like all of their Gust, the Jamming Tower, and the Switch are gone, they can only grab 2, and like you're able to like push the Mawile and like, you know, somehow get a spot there if they get to 2. But those are like so rare, few and far between. So yeah, generally if they get to 2 prizes, you just lose if they have the V-Star, and that's pretty enormous threat. The Toedscruel just like completely erases that. So it's a pretty solid bump to the Drago matchup for sure if you're playing against someone with proper technique. So yeah, we added that because I think in the current context of the meta, like, there's so many good players on Drago, right? It was 6 of the top 8 at Toronto. Like, you have to beat a lot of Drago to if you want to win the event, right? And so the Toedscruel is like a pretty natural inclusion at that point.
In that matchup, you're kind of sometimes crunched for time and you need a lot of cards pretty quickly. Was it ever like a thing where, like, obviously when you set it up, it seems phenomenal, but is it practical enough to use that you can like actually get your Gust, Retreat Lock, and Toedscruel down fast enough for it to matter?
It definitely can be hard to use, but I think the hardest line is when they take it like a little bit slower, right? Like, that's the hardest one to crack. If they jump to 5 really fast, right, and they just like take a quick knockout, you basically just get them on like a 2-2-2, like your version of a 2-2-2, right? Because you Gust, they have to switch. They can only take 2 prizes max, like, as long as you manage your board correctly, right? Like, you don't bench 60 HP guys. They can only take 2 prizes. You Gust again. There are 3 prizes. They have no switches left. And then, or like you Gust, Retreat Lock, and then they have to V-Star, and they go to 1, and then you Gust and win the game, right? So like, these like faster lines, that's essentially what the Toedscruel forces them into, and these are like this is like your best case scenario. That's like as good as it gets. Other lines where like they're going kind of slow and managing their board, they can actually be like pretty tough to crack. But like if you play the Toedscruel, you just bench the Toedscool, and now they're going slow, and like you just win the game on the spot basically. So like yeah, it forces them into like essentially better lines for you.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I guess it's kind of a similar concept, but the Black Kyurem also pretty much seems exclusively for the Draco matchup. And since you already kind of laid out the whole Toad line, that seems not too bad. So if it's just that easy, just put down Toedscruel, retreat lock, then why is Black Kyurem here? Is it even needed for the Draco matchup?
It's again to help and break these boards. Like even with the Toedscruel, if you imagine like a board like Black Kyurem or Regieleki V Star and Ogerpon, it's really hard to go forward on that board, right? Like boss retreat lock the Ogerpon doesn't feel that good because like then they vessel, and like if there's like one energy on the Ogerpon already, which is like pretty common, now there's 3 energy and they just like hit your retreat locker. And like if it's an Ogerpon, they take no prizes, but like where do you go from there, right? Like their board is V Star, Ogerpon, both of them are fully powered up. Like essentially you're forced into like just ripping Erica and like hoping to get a target, right? And like those Ericas are never good, right? Instead what you want to do is like Black Kyurem the Drago, Eri, sisters, and then rip the Erica. And like you've already peeked their hands, so you know if it's getting a hit or not. Like that's like a much better scenario. And it also forces down the second Drago V, which like it gives you a CC target, or they commit energy, and it makes boss on the Ogerpon like way more likely to stick, right? Like it's hard for them to get like all 9 energy into play as opposed to just like 6.
Do you ever feel like, I'm assuming like most smart Draco players moving forward would assume that Control is playing Black Kyurem? So do you ever feel like it could be a potential cut just because like it's the effect of it already exists because they kind of assume it's in there?
By the threat?
Like, like just going to Lone Drago just feels game losing for them.
I don't know. It's not really all that game losing, even into like the Black Kyurem. Like
Yeah.
It kind of is, but there's also a lot of spots where like they can try to make it tricky for you, right? Like if you like prize counter gain or prize like collapse, and they like jamming on that turn, like they can like check you for prizing.
Yeah, that's fair.
To stop the Black Kyurem play. And like it's also, even in that line I described, it's like they still have like winning chances, right? Like if they're able to like power up their whole board and you miss on the Ericas, like it's hard to go forward from there. And so like it's still like their most resilient line. It's like better than just going into like squat like
just handing
benching like
retreat lock,
other stuff and just letting you like Gus retreat lock. So like yeah, I mean like the line's still pretty resilient, and like the only way for you to play it is by like showing them Black Kyurem, and then like even then they have winning chances, right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I guess another thing that may seem a little weird about the list, if you haven't played a ton of Control, is why is there an Ogerpon and a Mawile? Because they seem like they do the exact same thing. So why would we play both of them and not one or the other?
Yeah, it's essentially just so you have like two retreat lock cards, right? Like in that line I described earlier, where like on 5 you Gus retreat lock, and then on 3 you Gus retreat lock, and then on 1 you Gus retreat lock. It's way easier to hit it if like for an extra turn your nest balls are live retreat lock targets, right? Instead of having to go like Stretcher and then Thorton on like the second and third try, or like Stretcher and then Roseanne's, something like that. Like you basically just get to run on like item cards themselves, which makes it a lot easier to like stream the retreat lock. And like of course a miss in that kind of spot like gives them very, very real winning chances, right?
Yeah, one thing like I've streamed a couple lists that are just on the Ogerpon, and it feels like, especially if you're like on the 2 counter catcher, 1 boss, like
yeah,
you
exactly.
have to like go like gust to win, but one of those turns you have to go Roseanne to get back the retreat lock thing, so it just feels really awkward.
Yeah. Like it's definitely possible, right? Like if you started off with like boss Nest Ball Ogerpon,
Yeah.
and like you have both the CCs left, and you can like CC Roseanne, but like especially when you run into like prizing issues, then like all of a sudden you're like really feeling a ton of pressure. For sure.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like it's just such a important win condition in so many matchups that like doubling up on it. It's just
Yeah. The deck is really leaning heavy into retreat. Like it's like pretty much the only way you win at this point in like so many matchups. I like it's very, very rare that I like take prizes or go aggressive.
Yeah, that makes a lot of
Current
sense.
list.
So like one of the big win conditions in the past has been walling stuff out with Mimikyu, and with your list there's just the one Mimikyu. So do you feel like that one Mimikyu is enough in this current meta, or is it something like I just don't have space for more, but if I could theoretically play X amount of extra cards, then more Mimikyus would make their way into the deck?
I don't know. I think yeah, like kind of like you said, like the walls have been like better in the past. It's not they're just not great right now. I like the Raging Bull matchup, you can pretty consistently like expect to see like bundle, stretchers, catchers, boss, pad, and that's a ton of gusting. I really think that matchup is like very hard to win by like solo mimying. That's like the traditional way to play the matchup, but I think it's like incredibly hard to win that way. And like you have real chances if you're playing Mimikyu and Sandshrew. Like you have to be playing Sandshrew to go for this line. Like boss plus pad is just way too much volume. I feel like just playing for the Toedscruel is like honestly like pretty comparable in like your win percentage. You just get the Toedscruel out, the Pokestops, the retrievals, the stretchers turn off, and like their deck just kind of stops working. And like sometimes you lose though, of course, but like I think it's a pretty comparable shot.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think like if you're like a newer control player, like just like pushing at Mimi just makes so much sense. It feels so safe in a lot of matchups. So like it makes it feels like there should be more of them because it like seems like such a common line, but maybe as you understand the deck.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't feel great in a lot of matchups. Like Charizard, they have enough. They have like enough gusts where like if you're pretty much all of these matchups come down to like if you're benching two prizers, they have enough gusts to like basically just go around the Mimi the entire game and like maybe like brute force their way through it at the end. But like they take like 4 prizes really fast with just like boss or whatever. And so with all that pressure, it just feels like really bad to go into the Mimikyu and like so many matchups like Charizard, Drago, Bolt, and like I'm sure there's a few others like even like Goldengo, like and then if you're solo miming and not benching two prizers, you're like folding to Iono in like any of these matchups, right? Because they like just start going brute force after Iono, and like you need like an insane Iono draw to be able to respond.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like we just don't have the luxury of just being able to sit by Mimikyu and win really very often anymore. So the last question I had about Pokemon was about the Regieleki because I mean the attack it definitely has synergy with the deck, but it's been kind of in and out of recent control lists. So would you say that it's like core to the deck, you have to play it because there's like also no Silene in here, so there's no resource recovery aside from the Pal Pad, Stretcher, Roseanne, and stuff. So would you say it's absolutely necessary to play this card, or it's more of like attack for the current meta?
Yeah, I know we've talked about this a lot, and I'm like, it definitely feels like very good to play. Like when I was at Toronto, I was like, oh my gosh, like I like I have so many extra resources, or like I can bank on these resources if they ever try to like cheese me on like me running out of resources. And so in that sense, like you can just like full send sisters like every single turn, full send Erica's, like you can just throw everything you have at them like as fast as possible. And you're like, if they try to get you on resources, you just run with the Aleki. You can definitely play the deck without the Aleki. My Sacramento list didn't have a Aleki and it was like totally fine. The Zerosix covers this use case a lot because like if you have Zerosix, they're pretty much always running out of resources first, and that threat alone is like you're realizing 90% equity if they like opt into lines where they lose to Zerosix by like holding onto their resources. So they're pretty heavily incentivized to just like send all of their resources like immediately as soon as they see them. And at that point they're like pretty much always decking out first or running out of resources first in like main lines.
Makes a lot of sense. And then like kind of how we were talking about just a little bit ago, like Mimikyu, just pushing a Mimikyu just feels too slow right now. But like in those spots where the opponent isn't doing a whole lot, you don't know what to do. Like the Regieleki just push spam sisters. It's kind of correct.
Oh, I guess I'll touch on like what it's the tech for. I opted to play at Toronto, and the reason is just the Cloth matchup. It's combined with the Lost Vacuum. It's a winning line into Cloth too. If you just like vac Aleki vac, that's it's a very dominant spot. Yeah. Provided you play the Cloths as well.
And yeah, aside from that, really all the other Pokemon are pretty core. I mean, the double Rotom is just pricey. You need that to set up right.
Yeah.
So I guess we can jump over to the trainers here. Starting off with the supporters. The main thing that sticks out is only 2 Penny and 2 Boss's orders, when traditionally those counts are 3 and 1. So yeah. Can you talk to me why there's why is there just 2 Penny? Does it feel like that is the correct count, or is like kind of like the Mimikyu thing, like ideally more?
The second boss I like really regretted not playing at Sacramento. Like pretty much every single round that I played, I was like, oh my god, if I prize this boss here, I'm actually just chalked. Like because I didn't have the Aleki and I only played 2 CC and only 2 Gus it's like very, very sus. So I wanted to play the second boss. That was on my mind basically as soon as I was coming out of Sacramento. I don't think it's exclusive with the third Penny, right? Like it's not like you play 3-1 or 2-2.
Yeah.
I really wanted to play 3-2, but the list is super tight. I think there's like a really good justification for each card. And coming out of Toronto, I expected to get burned for the third penny a lot worse than like I didn't really get burned at all, and the same with the other people who played the list. But because the format is so fast, right? Like in that Drago line I was talking about, like, you know, where you're just like trading 2 prizes for a switch like every single turn, like Penny is like not involved there at all. And, like a lot of matchups go kind of similarly. Like Raging Bulls, you don't really need Penny. Gardevoir, you need like 1 penny a game. Like there's not much need for the card right now. Like it's very rare that you're like kind of like going into Luxray and playing Penny like 6 times in a row, which is like what the third pad is, or the third penny's good for. Similarly with the Blood Moon, right? Like the Blood Moon sweep. The Blood Moon's like relevant, but it's used much more tactically, right? Like it feels like you're really going for like 2 like crushing Blood Moon attacks, right? Like you Blood Moon, take out something, and then Penny CC, and then like hopefully at this point their board is like destabilized enough. That's like the primary context you use it. It feels much less like a sweeper, like the way you would use it in like a Lugia matchup, where like you're just spamming like Penny CC like multiple times in a row to target things down. Because like, yeah, like those matchups have kind of fallen off like Lugia.
So would I be correct to say that you are basically saying with that count that like prizing your one of boss is more likely to lose you the game than prizing one of the 2 pennies? I mean, I know that like aren't exclusive. Like
Yeah. I would definitely agree with that. I think the penny's like much less relevant in this meta. So like, yeah, I mean, going into Toronto, I was pretty stressed about not playing 3 penny, but coming out, I think I'll probably stick with the count. Like, there's just more important things to play, I think.
So now on the 2 boss thing, I know in like previous controls it's been like 1 boss, 3 counter catchers. So is there any reason why you chose to play the second boss over the third counter catcher?
I think it's just that like your items are not very like important, or like you're getting them sort of like on this trade so much. It feels like the gust volume does more for you than specifically against Gardevoir, right? Like if you prize your boss, 3cc is like not enough against Gardevoir. Like I think you're honestly trying to gust like 5 or more times a game against Gardevoir. Like I felt like I was getting stretched for basically all of my gust in that matchup. You just need so many gust in that matchup specifically. And like it just helps in so many matchups where like you can just like gust to be annoying, right? Like you just like gust and bring up like a random 1 retreater, right? Like against like Drago, if they're like, I don't know, they're just chilling there or something with like a Drago in the active, you can just like pull up a 1 retreater just because you can, kind of. That's the other thing, it's Drago, right? Like to make the first move, you have to have a boss if they have a Drago in the active, so like you can't prize the boss. Yeah, like essentially just like the volume is better, and it doesn't really hold you back not having your supporter for a turn.
Makes sense. I've definitely noticed playing pretty much exclusively this format on 1 boss, 2 counter catcher, that like prizing, I mean, especially the boss, even once
It's
feels
a
crazy
boss, right?
sus.
Like
Yeah.
you lose like 3 gusts once the boss is
Yeah,
prized.
it's
So bad.
Yeah, I agree. I'm definitely after you explain that, yeah, I'm definitely down to play 2 boss and any of those I build going forward. So the next card I want to ask about is the secret box, because in the past control has been, I mean, it's kind of flip-flop between cape and box, but last format was pretty heavily hero cape. So what made you decide to make the switch over to the secret box?
I mean, honestly, I was just like struggling to set up a little bit. Like I feel like my Pidgey was dying, and then I was missing the Thorton play, and like I don't know, it was just like the deck wasn't functioning great, and the Hero's Cape doesn't really do anything. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just like you draw the Hero's Cape in so many spots, and you're like, it's like all right. It's like basically just like Bravery Charm plus. Like it doesn't really do anything like super unique here. And so whereas the box, every single time you draw it, you're like, oh my god, I'm in for like an actually insane turn here. Like
Yeah.
it's the box is like it's just incredible. It's so versatile. It grabs you like everything you need. You get so much value out of the stadium, the tools, the support of the item, right? Like the card is just insane. It's like it feels like you're playing like Search 4 on like 1 card. It smoothens everything out.
Yeah, I was a big doubter, and I'm like, Hero Cape helps you feel so comfortable. You're like, I'm gonna put this on my page and it's never gonna die, when it's like really not actually helping that much. And like and then you play the box and it really feels like a sizable increase in just overall like things you can do in a
Like
game.
deck function, right? Like you've so much more flexibility, right?
So you brought up Stadium there, which I'm curious to hear why there's a collapsed Stadium in here. Over, I mean, you kind of have to play some kind of bounce. So
For sure.
First, like why collapse to all stadiums over something like an Artisan or like a Lost City?
I don't know. I just never saw the appeal, I guess, or like I think Artisan's okay. I don't really like City that much. Like the City game plans are like very gimmicky. Um,
Yeah.
and it's also just a terrible bounce, right? Like against
Yes.
Drago, if you have to play the City down to bump the jamming like early on, and it just like sits there the whole game, it feels so bad. Like
Okay, you prize back enough to bounce it with you just like
yeah,
lose.
or like what if they go like they use their switch and they go like switch, boss Genesect, and like the Genesect's lost it. You probably just lose on the spot.
Yeah.
So like yeah, I mean it's a stadium that like it feels so weakening in all the matchups that it's not like you're not using it tactically. Like anytime you're forced to play it as a bump, it just oh my god, like suddenly all these new lines open for your opponent, right? So I'm definitely not a huge fan of City. Artisan is like it's like okay because it's a consistency stadium and like even the collapse is like it's not doing that much, right? Like your stadium spot's not doing that much. But me personally, I don't know. Like this is somewhat contradictory with the list with only playing 3 Ultra Ball, but my like current philosophy towards deck building is like I want to play max counts of like all the good consistency cards, but like everything else is just going to go to power. I don't think it's worthwhile to play like tier 2 consistency cards, right? Like where they don't enable hands on their own, but like it's like specifically like Nest Ball Artisan hands that are like oh like this is better than like just pure Nest Ball, right? Like Nest Ball Collapse. Like it's not an independent route to set up. It doesn't open up any new routes to set up. It's just like an okay raw draw. Yeah, it just seems like pretty mediocre. And then like power cards, they like the collapse is able to like consistently shift game or not consistently, but like occasionally like 100% like shift games, and it, like forces your opponent to play around it, and, like all this random stuff. It's specifically really good in the cloth matchup, but then it also has a lot of upside and like in random matchups being able to dump some of your two prizers, right? Like if you're benching Fez, Rotom, Lumi, it's pretty easy to like to fill your bench and then dump one of them, and then that can be like a big deal in denying two prizes off of boss like later down the line.
Yeah.
Right, like 3 versus 2, if they get boss KO one and you have 3, you can't penny up the other, right? And they still get boss KO. Whereas if you have the collapse, you can remove one, go to 2. If they have boss, then you penny. And then
Yeah.
there's no like two liability.
Yeah, and especially in like faster matchups like Drago, where it feels like you don't have time to just like penny a random two prizer, it does seem pretty strong to just have like, okay, I'm just gonna basically play Penny as a stadium card.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I will say, like, in favor of Artisan, it does make the secret bot like art like a lone Arven in your opening hands, like Arven for box, for Nest Ball Artisan,
Yeah,
get the
box.
Rotom. Like it makes those kind of hands feel a lot stronger. But obviously, like
A
you're also
little
kind
bit.
of helping your opponent a little bit too. So like,
Yeah, it helps your opponent and like it just feels like a very very face up like start to the game, right? Like when you start off with that, you're like you're no longer threatening the Thornton play like as reliably,
yeah,
right? Like the Thornton play is like a much stronger threat when the secret box is in deck. Um, you're also like you're losing your box, you're losing your stadium for the game. Like it doesn't feel like an incredible play, and it really like tells your opponent how vulnerable you are to like Gust KO Pidgey in those spots.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And like I've seen like most people who've played your list like in online tournaments, like take out the collapse and direct swap it for an Artisan.
Yeah, like I don't hate it. It's not gonna like impede deck function that much, right? Like it's the deck will still be all right, but I don't really think the Artisan gets you that much consistency mileage, and like the collapse is like it actually swings like real lines, like against Cloth and Drago.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. Those decks have been pretty popular lately. So, yeah, the last question I had about trainer cards was the Switch cards. It was in like a lot of like really early page control lists, but had been out for a while, and then now it's like it's back in. So, why is Switch cards so important when we have effects like Penny that kind of do the same thing?
I think it's just for aggression. It also somewhat fills the role of this like third CC, right? Like the Blood Moon lines where I was talking about earlier, where I'm talking like you want to get like a tactical KO. Um, Instead of Penny CC, you can go like Switch Cart Boss,
Mhm.
and like a lot of times this will get you on the prize trade, right? And so if you like prize a CC and you use one early, the Switch Cart Boss like covers this function as well. So it has like real lines in the end game, but like its most important use case is early on as a way to like make the first move, right? Like against Drago, um, if they get to 4 and they have Switch plus V Star left, and you're not playing Toedscruel, like that is like a disaster scenario. Like they're gonna rip the Switch, and try to take 2 prizes. You can go for the Mawile and like deny 2 prizes, but even then, the Mawile feels a little bit vulnerable because like Switch plus Jamming, which are both like non-supporter cards, lets them go for Kyurem, which then takes the Mawile and the Genesect. Then they jump to 2 when they have V-Star open, and like, yeah, this is like, they're very easily gonna like power up a Drago, and then like boss attack. It's just too easy. That's like a dream scenario for them. And even if it's not the next turn, they're just gonna like wait, attach their Drago, and then like the turn after that, like surely they're just gonna go like attach V-Star and win the game, right? So like, yeah, you really want to like avoid the spot where they go down to 4 prizes and have Switch left in deck. So making the first move when you're on 6-6 is like a very surefire way to do this, right? Like if they bench Squawk and then and you're able to retreat lock on 6-6, that's incredible. Switch Cart really helps with that, right? Like you can go Pidgeot for Secret Box for Boss plus Cart, and then like if you have the other pieces, it basically lets you grab 2 pieces like that, and the Switch Cart's like essential there, right? If you have something that's not a retreat locker in the active, you need to get into the retreat locker and Gust, and if you have both of those in supporter cards, you just can't. You have to take an extra turn. And you also have to like telegraph your move too, right? Like you have to like penny into the retreat locker and then pass, or like pre-attach to like preload or retreat. But like those just feel like so much less clean than like Switch Card Boss. Right?
Yeah, and preloading retreat is a lot harder with now just the 3 energy in the list, which is conveniently right. What I wanted to talk about next is 2 has been the standard for missed energy. We even occasionally saw like 3. So was Mist Energy another one of those like I would play more if I could, or did 1 feel like it was enough?
I'm not even sure it would be like a second miss. I feel like honestly it might be like 3rd DTE. I like Mist Energy, unlike the Penny, that was like a cut that I knew going in. I was like, oh, this is a good cut. I like did not feel it. The only time you feel it is when you double prize energy. Then it gets really tight, terrible. Right? But like even then, bro, you have the counter gain, right? And like lists like before counter gain came out, they're running like 2 miss, 2 DTE, and it's like fine, right? Now you have 2 DTE, 1 miss, 1 counter gain, and it's like pretty much the same thing. And like you can Roseanne for the counter gain and the DTE, so you get like double value on that. Yeah, you really don't have like volume issues. The second miss, and also like Roaring Moon is on the decline. I hit a Moon at Sacramento. It's really hard without the second miss. Yeah, like other than that matchup, the 1 miss is pretty much all you need. It's like good versus Drago to have the 1, but the second like doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, that's fair. It's pretty much just for prizing and Turbo Moon. That doesn't really sound worth it at all. So that's really all the questions I had about the list itself. But I did want to ask a couple things about cards that had been fairly popular in the past that are not in this list, or at least had seen some play in the past. So the first one has been a card I've personally enjoyed a lot lately, and that is Snorlax. I guess not why is there no Snorlax, but what would the reason be to not play it?
I mean, I think Lax is fine. That's a card. It's a card I always like because it makes the Gardevoir matchup easier, and it also just like has a lot of synergy with the deck. Like it lets you play like Block Lax essentially, right? And accessing like Block Lax is a solid deck. It has good ideas. But I think with this current build, it's really not all that necessary, and like basically any matchup except Gardevoir, because the deck is so consistent. Like it's so streamlined to hit like this Ogerpon retreat lock, and like that's a more powerful lock than the Snorlax. Like at least with the current build, like the best way to run the Snorlax is to make like drastic changes, right? And really you have to like lean into the Snorlax. I think just like throwing 1 Snorlax in doesn't really quite achieve like the effect you want it to, because like you're so vulnerable to boss, right? You have to be able to play without the Pidgeot if you want to play for the Snorlax lines, right? And like this deck is right now is not built to play without the Pidgeot. You need like way more raw volume so that you can raw draw the cards you need. And so yeah, I think you need like a real overhaul of the deck, and that's not really worthwhile like in the current meta. But,
yeah, if it's basically just for like 1 matchup and like a solid neutral starter playing like 4 cards, 5 cards for that doesn't really sound all that worth it. Another card that has at least got a lot of hype initially because of counter gain was the Bouffalant. So yeah, what's the reason to not play Bouffalant right now?
I mean, it's just really quite hard to use. Like the best matchup for it is definitely Drago, right? It's it's a good answer to that. It has like the most limited energy acceleration right now, and it's like the most vulnerable to Bouffalant. But I found that it's like hard to use. If they already have their Drago powered up, it feels like it's completely unusable unless you're able to hit like triple Buffalon basically, or double if they have only 2 fire. But if they have 3 fire, you have to hit like Buffalon like back to back to back, and that's so hard.
Yeah.
And like all they need is like fire energy, right? Like they're basically just like, you're doing so much to try and get into this Buffalon, and then you're using your counter gain, a DTE, and like the Buffalon itself, and they like Vessel attach knockout, and like you have to do like the same thing the next turn, and like Vessel attach knockout, and then like if you ever miss at any of these points, you just like instantly lose. Yeah, like you basically made no. It's like too late to go into like a retreat lock win condition or something like that, and then like they just pace incredibly well, right? Like they took 2 knockouts, and then you miss the booth a lot, and they like boss KO and take 2 more prizes. They're basically always winning at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just hard to use.
Yeah, it does feel like a similar situation to Snorlax, where like you have to play so many cards to make it reasonably work, and then you're so committed to a line that's kind of niche. Yeah, a couple more cards. The first one was Sandshrew, which we kind of touched on a little bit earlier, but yeah, why is there no Sandshrew in the list currently?
The use cases are yeah, essentially like the only meta matchup it was for Raging Bull, right? To take out the Pal Pad. But if you can cut that for the Toedscruel, that and like so you like somewhat keep your Raging Bolt matchup intact while bumping everything else was like the main idea for that cut, right? And then the only other thing you ever use it for is like fringe matchups. You use it for mirror, and it was also like the block Ox win condition if you don't play Aleki or Silene. And Silene is flippy, so like it's literally a fake win condition. That's why I don't play the Silene.
Silene's
But
terrible.
if you play the Aleki, the block Ox it goes back to 100-0. So yeah, if you play Aleki Toedscruel, it like covers like most of the use cases. Maybe worth considering if like you cut the Toedscruel or something. But I don't know. I feel like I just like take the loss to Bolt at this point because it's not quite as popular. Her list is anti-meta, so it should reflect that, right?
Hey, 6 Drago in top 8. What beats Drago?
Yeah, right.
And yeah, the last card I wanted to hear your take on was Cornerstone Ogerpon, and it's never a card I've been a big fan of, but yeah, what's the reason
Yeah,
why no
like
Cornerstone?
not so many, but like a surprising
There's
number
a
of people
lot of
play
lists and
it.
online that play it.
Like I feel like I must be missing some idea, but like against Zard, it's not even good. Like if they play Cologne, you actually just like lose instantly if you commit to a
Yeah.
cornerstone line, and like that's terrible. Like you can't just like bank on it. And then like even sometimes if they don't play Cologne, they still sometimes get you anyway. Like
Yeah.
the Dustners they take a lot of prizes. And like yeah, if you commit to like a lone Mimi Dustner board or a lone Mimi corner board, then like they can get you on some like Thornton tricks. Then like they like start punching your cornerstone with like the Pidgey or the Charmander. Like it's not. And that's like a if they have to do that, that's like definitely like the best case scenario. But I mean, it doesn't seem like a great win condition for me. And the Devo is just like so much better. Like I feel like Zard is like at 80-20 if you set up and like just Devo them, you just win the game anyway. So like why not just do that? And like I feel like you'd have to cut the Devo for the cornerstone, and then you start losing to Zards with Cologne, and that's like terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
and then
it kind of feels like Cornerstone is like it's good in those board states where you've already fully stripped all their resources, but like you're winning those positions anyway, kind of no matter
yeah,
what.
right. Like
So
it's also a side out versus Drago, but like it's not a great side out, right? Like it's weak to Cologne and it's weak to Boss,
and
and like
Executor. If you want to play the one mist, you
yeah,
can't miss
Executor as well,
Pidgey.
sure. Yeah, like the walling is just like not great against Drago right now. So like it covers so few board states in that matchup that like just play for the main line and then play like another
Yeah.
consistency card or something.
Yeah,
Right? Another power
exactly.
card.
It does like kind of do stuff against Guardy if you play the city, but I feel like that's also just another like really niche line. Just like you manage to get rid of their Drifting
Yeah, I don't
too.
I don't think attacking against Guardy is like ever a reputable line. It's
Yeah.
yeah, they've simply too many tricks with the Monkey Dory and
Mhm.
the Screamtail and the Drifloon. It's impossible to cover all of those. Like if you give them free reign on their energies, you have to retreat lock in that matchup.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. So that was all the cards questions about the list that I had. I guess were there any things unique about your list that you wanted to touch on?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Mhm. The list is like it's like fairly standard from my Sacramento, like not very different from my Sacramento list, which is like kind of standard at this point, or like at least a lot of the ideas are the same.
If that's all for the list, I heard you may have something that you wanted to plug for any of the viewers that are still.
Yeah, for sure, bro. I'm doing we didn't cover matchups in this one. If you want to learn like the elite technique for every matchup, bro, I'm doing a master class on Metafy. Yeah, I've worked a lot on this deck. I like literally every single day for like months on end, and I'll be like sharing everything I know. I put so much time in. So you know, if you're interested in that and like I mean the different lines for each matchup, I guess I have some like opinions I guess that are non-standard, and I'll be sharing them this weekend on the 28th.
Sounds good. I'll definitely have a link to that in the description below if you're interested in signing up to that. And yeah, before we get out of here, any shout outs or socials you need to plug?
Nah, my Twitter's Liam Halliburton. If you want to go see my list, I don't even tweet that much anymore.
You want to see him flex his ladder ranking?
But yeah, I play a lot of ladder, bro. Every single game on a ladder, it's always the Pidgeot. So if you're interested in that, just go check it out.
All right, so that's all I got for today. Big thanks to Liam for taking the time out. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Make sure you check out the masterclass link below, and I'll catch you all in the next one.